our home is our first ministry. Your children are your first ministry. So if you're going to say that you're a Christian, then be one. Really let them see that. Let them see you deal with things on a spiritual level. Let them see, and even when you mess up, let them see you take ownership of that mess up.
You did a great job.
Yeah. Let them see you read your Bible. Let them see you pray. Let them see that God is first in your life.
Don't bring no drama my way. Don't bring no drama my way. Don't bring no drama my way. Yeah, I might have a great day. Don't bring no drama my way. Don't bring no drama my way. Don't bring no drama my way.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl Lish Speaks, and welcome to another episode of I'll Just Let Myself In. This is the podcast where we don't wait for imaginary permission slips. We walk through our God-given doors. And today is a very special day. In honor of Mother's Day, which is coming up in just a few days, I have the most special guest. Now, I know I say a lot. I have a special guest, and I'm really excited about this guest. But this is the most special guest because our guest today is none other than my mother, Miss Beverly Gerald. Hey, Ma.
Hi, Lish.
Welcome to the couch.
Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. She's nervous, y'all.
Yes.
No need to be nervous. This is a safe space. Okay.
Yes.
I'm excited because I feel like when it comes to motherhood, you have so much to share, not just from, the fact that you're a mother, but your education and childhood, your many, many years of running childcare facilities, and just your many years as well of helping other Christian mothers learn how to parent their children in the best possible way, that they could. And so I think this episode is going to bless a lot of people. Mother is really the crust of creation, right? None of us would be here without a mom, whether you have a great relationship with your mom or a tough relationship with your mom or no relationship with your mom. Without her, you would not be here, right? And so mothers really are cornerstone of our civilization, of our creation. Mothers are the cornerstone of Black America for sure. And so I'm excited for this episode.
Me too. I totally agree with you. Motherhood is the center.
Yeah, motherhood is the center. All right, so before we get started, you guys know we got the best segment in podcasting, and it is called What I'm Stepping In. And today I'm stepping in a pair of Carhu sneakers. Now, this sneaker was very popular in the early, mid 2000s. And they got popular because certain rappers were wearing them, rappers who shall not be named because I don't support them anymore. But certain rappers were wearing them. And I really do love this shoe. It's the Carhu Fusion 2.0. I have them in the colors as you're seeing on the screen, gray, like a teal, almost matching this shirt, and a purple. I love this shoe. I bought them at Dover Street Market in New York City many, 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 many years ago. And this just goes to show you that you don't have to buy new shoes all the time. I still have shoes from when I was in grade school, believe it or not. And you've seen them on this show. And so I wear my sneakers. I love them. I don't even know if you'll be able to find these, but you know the motto here. If you like them, go get you some. All right. So, Mom, I have several questions for you. And they're questions that I think will really not just help you to reminisce, but also help mothers who are in positions that you were in the past, right? And the first one that I have is, what was the scariest thing about becoming a mom for you? Right? I'm not your first child, so I'm the middle child. I have an older sister. So when you found out you were pregnant with Sephra, right? And the pregnancy lasted, it was going through, you knew I'm going to have this baby. What was the scariest thing about that?
Honestly, it wasn't nothing scary about it to me because I always wanted to be a mother. I know my own mother used to say, I can't wait till you have some babies and a husband, because that's all I used to talk about. So I was extremely excited about becoming a mom. it didn't get scary until later, when I actually had the baby. I mean, I always was scared of tiny babies, so I stayed with my mom.
I am too. Did you know that about me?
No.
Yes. I always say I wish I could birth a teenager.
Yeah, well, I didn't want it that big.
I'm just saying, I feel like that's what I'm good at, like older kids. But like babies make me
like
nervous.
them brand new, it felt like you would break them. Like I couldn't understand, what do you do with this? So I stayed with my mom for 6 weeks with Seth, with my first baby, and she bathed her and everything because she just flipped her over. I just was like, so I guess if I had to say something was scary, it was really, taking care of such a small human being.
Yeah.
But I was just excited to be a mom. It's something I always wanted to be. It's something I still love being. So it was nothing like too scary. Y'all scare me more now.
That's fair.
than when y'all was babies. So yeah.
That's fair. If I'm not mistaken, you lost a child.
Yes, I lost a child before I had Sephra. Yeah, I lost a child.
How scary or rough, how hard was that for you?
Well, because I wanted to be a mom so bad and I lost that child, it kind of made me feel like, am I going to be able to have, children? But it was scary. It's scary when you're going through the actual
infertility stuff.
Yeah, well, also knowing that you're losing a baby, you seeing the stuff.
Yeah. You can talk these.
I don't want to get too drastic. I want to get, but just things were happening that was scary.
Yeah.
And then to get to the hospital and realize that you lost your child.
Yeah. I don't know that whole story. We don't have to tell it on the podcast, but you don't talk about it a lot.
No.
Is it something that you think about? I mean, it was 40-something years ago now. But...
Yeah, it was a lot of years ago. The baby would be like 40. How old is Kenya? Would be the same, about the same age
as Kenya.
Maybe a little.
Except for 40. So
older.
How many? A couple of years before that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a little intense. We were. Me and your dad was really kind of sad about it, because we was excited.
Yeah.
He
has never spoken to me about it. Yeah. You did tell me, but he's never spoken to me about it. We talk about it a lot. So that's interesting. I think with me, I for a long time didn't want children, as you know.
Yes.
And then I got married to this big-headed, beautiful man.
Well, you actually did.
Well, I did. Yes, I did.
You used to want a lot of.
I used to want a lot of kids.
She used to say, "I want 6 kids."
I did when I was younger.
I used to say, "You don't want 6 kids,"
because I wanted to be like grandma.
Yeah.
When I looked around, so I grew up in a very big family. My grandmother had 6 children, so my mom had 5 siblings, and we were together a lot. I had a lot of cousins.
Yes.
And so I always felt like, oh, that's family. That's the type of family I want. So when I was younger, I used to say, I want 6 kids. And then I got older and I was like, man, no, I don't. I don't want no kids. Because I started seeing people with kids. And I'm like, oh, no, that don't look fun.
Yeah.
And then I think, too, for me, a lot of me, as I got older, feeling like I didn't want children was because I was afraid of not being a good mom. I was afraid of being a single mom. And I think I was afraid of not being able to go after my own dreams and ambitions if I became a mom. And then I just always felt like even the married women around me were single moms.
And that's that's a very, very true.
I was like, you
could be married and still very much be yes, and still very much be a single mom.
So I think I got a little jaded somewhere in my 20s. Then I met this beautiful, like I said, big-headed, but beautiful, sweet, kind, gentle, but also authoritative and just good man.
Amazing.
And
he's amazing guy.
Yeah, she loves her son-in-law. She likes him more than she likes me, but that's fine.
Yep.
Not yet on my own podcast. No respect. But he was like, I don't understand why you don't think you would be a good mom, And I had to really wrestle with a lot of stuff that I believed about myself. Come to the conclusion that no, I actually do want to be a mom. I just need God's help, you know, to work on the parts of my character that I always felt like wouldn't make me a good mom. Right?
And it's no formula to being I think it's just kicks in when you have a child. You a mom, and you're gonna do everything to give that child the best, to love that child. It's just no book. It's nothing to tell you how to do that. You just automatically do it. I mean, some people like me, I was ecstatic. I just wanted to be a mom. Then my mom was such a great mom. So I just really wanted to be a mom. So, but it's something that once you have that baby, every parental little instinct kicks in, and you're going to do everything you have to do. And the biggest thing is love. Love, that's amazing.
I have that for sure. It's so funny because my friend's like, you're so nurturing. Why don't you think you'll be a good mom? And I'm like, I nurture people who can get out my face. I nurture and you go. I love you and then you go. I help you, then you go. The kid don't go. Like, you know. So
not
I think
for a
that
while
was
anyway.
Right, exactly. But I'm excited now about the opportunity, God willing, to be a mom one day. And I feel like a lot of, I don't want to skip too far ahead because I'm actually going to talk about this more in the episode, but a lot of the things that you did as a mom are things that I always tell G that I'm like, I hope I can do this because you and I are very different. We are very, very different. And so I'm like, oh man, I hope that I can like muster that up because I want my children to be able to say those type of things. But before I get into the things that you did as a mom, let's talk a little bit about your mom. So my grandmother, Grandma Lucy May, who was really the matriarch of our family. You know, she was, like you said, a great mom and a great grandmother. We talk about her all the time. The children who were born after she passed know all about her. We definitely keep her legacy alive. Talk a little bit about how your relationship with your mom impacted the way you mothered.
Well, my mom, we were her life. You know, like you said, she had 6 of us. Well, she had 5 of us because my baby brother came really, I was like 14 when he came
So y'all were
along,
raised with 5 kids in the home.
really kind of like 5 kids. But we were like her life. She really catered to us. You know, growing up, she made sure we had, and we weren't rich and stuff like that, but the things that we loved, she made sure we had. She would get up, she would make 5 different breakfasts. If you wanted pancakes, and you wanted an egg, you wanted cereal, she would do that. And when you look back, mothers don't do stuff like that. But my mother did that, you know, and as we got older, we weren't, you know, we didn't have birthday parties and big birthday gifts, but she made sure she made just the cake you like, whatever was your favorite cake, whatever was your favorite dinner. Now, my mom, and you got to remember, I'm old. I'm gonna be 68 this year. So growing up,
you look good, girl. Come on, 68.
Growing up, it wasn't a lot of openness. You know, so I didn't talk to my mom about a lot of things. I was really afraid to tell her certain things because they have this picture of you. You know, my mom's like, my girls better not, you know, have sex until they married. So you don't want to know your, you know.
That sounds familiar.
You don't want to let your mother know you out there doing it, you know, at 15 and stuff. So, and there's no guarantee you're going to get married. Like, what are you supposed to do? You know,
but then why did you turn around and teach us that then?
Well, then
I mean, I'm grateful.
I was walking with the Lord, and we were trying to do it and wanted to do it, and I wanted to teach y'all to do it God's way. I wish I would have done it God's way. Maybe I still have a husband. I don't know. But anyway, you know, so I always wanted to look good to my mother. Like I always, you know, the things she would say, I wanted to be those things, even though I wasn't, you know, but I wanted her to think I was those things.
So you cared a lot about her opinion.
So I cared a lot about her opinion.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I cared a lot about her opinion. So whatever she would speak, I would try to be that person, you know. But I feel like as we got older, I had a great relationship with her as far as she knew she could depend on me.
Yeah.
Like I was, and I know she could depend on all her kids, but I was that one that she knew would be there for her no matter what,
Yeah.
you know.
We
So
would get things done.
yeah, and get things done. So I think that drew us a little closer. I still was very hesitant about telling her certain things, especially when I got married, because she absolutely thought her son-in-law was
Yes.
the cat's meow, you
Yes.
know, so she didn't even want to hear nothing. But, you know, sometime I would talk to her. I just felt like I wish she would have been that parent that gave more advice.
Okay.
You know, you would go to her and she, you know, her saying was, well, you grown. Yeah, but I do want to just hear what you think about it. I'm not saying I'm going to use your advice,
Yeah.
but I would like to hear your advice. And so she wasn't one of those parents that get in your business, try to tell you what to do. But sometime I wish she would have did more of that.
Needed more mothering.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would have loved just what she was thinking or what she felt about something, but she would always be like, well, you're grown, you know, you know what to do. Yeah, but I want to just hear what you know, what you think about it. So that was
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I have thoughts. Before I go into my thoughts, how do you think that has impacted the way you mother?
I don't get
Isn't it funny how things just happen?
I mean, I really do try not to get in my children's business. I wish they would talk to me more. You know, my kids are very independent. I really would like, you know, I would like them to ask me more advice. And when they do, I give it to them, you know, but I don't try to interject my, you know, my advice, what I think they should do, unless y'all come in, y'all ask me.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah.
Do you think that?
No, I don't think you interject.
No, do you think I wait, you know, that I'm all in your business?
No.
Yeah, no.
Not at all.
Yeah.
No. In fact, I have had to tell you I need mothering.
Yes. Yes.
So it's funny that you felt that way about your mom, because I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, I know you think I'm wise and smart and all of this stuff, but I'm still your kid, and
Yeah.
sometimes I need mothering.
Yeah.
And so I think it's so funny that you said that. I didn't know that, one, that you felt that way with grandma. I think something happens when a mother really trusts a child. Like, I feel like you really trust me.
Yeah.
I feel like you really trust all of us, actually. But I feel like you really trust me for me. Like, I feel like you trust Sephra for you, but you trust me for me. Like, you like, well, Alicia got herself. I don't have to worry about her. So I think when that happens, sometimes the tendency is to just be like, okay, you know, I won't interject, right? I don't want to be checking on them too much. I don't want them to feel like I'm in their business. And I think the onus is on both people, which is why I'm so communicative with you when I need something. Because I think one thing that my generation, like millennials, I think one thing that we do wrong with our parents is that we judge, but we don't listen. You know how the whole is like, we listen, but we don't judge. I feel like sometimes it's the other way around. Like, we don't have the conversations to hear from our parents what they're feeling and what they're thinking. So I try to ask a lot of questions when I feel like you and I are not disagreeing, because we don't really have disagreements, but when we don't see something the same way, I try to ask a lot of questions. I try to listen, but I also share, like, this is what I need and this is what I'm feeling, because our parents are not mind readers.
Right.
Right? And I think sometimes when you're a child, it's like, well, you should know. You're my mom. You should know.
Right.
You should know. And somewhere around 25, I realized, oh, my parents have no clue. Neither one of them.
Right.
They don't know who I am anymore. They don't know how to parent a 25-year-old, a 30-year-old. They have no clue. And I have no clue. Because one, I've never been this age, and I've never parented anybody, let alone an adult. So to be fair to them, I have to tell them what I'm feeling. And it led to me having some really tough conversations with Dad and some tough conversations with you. And I think that for me, it's been very healing. But I think that, you know, at the end of our lives, we won't have to say, well, I wish this or that, because We say the things, you know.
The conversations are very, very needed.
Yeah.
Growing up, you were very guarded, and I really don't know if that's what you were, but and I shared
That's how I came
with
off,
you
yeah.
plenty of times.
I probably was guarded.
Y'all would, I was very much want to be in my kids' life, so y'all come home from school. I always say, how was school? And most of the time with Sephora, I didn't even have to ask. She came in the house telling me, Ma, Lisha, how was school? It was school, Ma. Well, what did you do? It was school. Like, you would not elaborate.
Yeah.
You would not. So I learned how to and I think parents should really understand every child is different, and you have to get to learn that child.
Yeah.
You can't, even growing up, teachers would say to me, well, why isn't Alicia more like Sephora? Because y'all have most of the same teachers.
My sister and I went to the same school from K through 8.
Yes.
So,
and
she was 3 years ahead of me.
Yeah. It really frustrated me because Alicia is not Sephora. So you can't expect Alicia to do what Sephora do. So the one thing that I really always did was try to have relationships or know where my kids was.
Yeah,
I think that's just important in life. Even as a supervisor, I had a staff of 15, and I really was important that I knew each person's strength and their weaknesses, because then I knew what I can ask them to do, what I could not ask them to do. And that's how I felt like with my kids growing up. Now, it was times me and you would have amazing conversations, most of the time in the car. I would pick her up from the train station in Brooklyn. And we would sit in the car sometimes 2 hours, and I used to soak those things up. So I learned how to accept when Alicia came in and just said, Ma, I was school, and leave that alone, because I knew eventually I would get that time with her.
Yeah.
And those times were so memorable, and I'm so grateful for them. And we still get those times now. So I learned how to just really accept those times. Me and Sephora's my oldest. We talk every day. I don't talk to Lisha or Jerry every day, but me and Sephora talk every day. It's just, you have different relationships with your kids in different ways, but you gotta know where they're at, and you gotta accept where they're at. Now, also, I learned as a parent, you have to grow when they grow. Boy, oh boy. And that's when you talk about being 25, I had to really learn, because we get stuck on 3 and 4. We really get stuck there, and they 10 and 11, and we still trying to parent them.
I could imagine that, because even with like my little cousin, Aiden, right? He's 15. If you've known me for the last 10 or 15 years, you know Aiden, because I used to have him all the time. And sometimes when I look at him, I'm like, he's not 5.
He's not.
You can't be like hugging him and want him to sit on you. Like, he's a big kid. He's 15.
Yep.
He's not. That's not even my child. So I could imagine how it feels with your child.
Yeah, so you have to move along, and that's what I tell people. Me being an educator, and mainly with pre-Ks, so 4 and 5. So I had a lot of conversations with parents to, you have to move when they move. They're not going to always be 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Soon they're going to be 6 and 7. What are you going to do? Still be treating them like they're 4? And that, I think, is the biggest thing as parents we need to really understand, because it really helps the relationship. And it took me a minute, to get there and to understand that, you know what, you got to move when your kids move. They're not 3 no more. They're 10 now. What does a 10-year-old child need? What do a 15-year-old child need? And I feel like growing up, y'all had a lot of freedom, as far as, getting to do things. And one of that is because the way y'all grew up. Y'all grew up in church. So I was very confident and felt okay, letting y'all do certain things, because I felt like
you raised us well.
I feel like y'all had morals, and y'all would choose the right thing. Now, I'm pretty sure sometimes y'all didn't. Sometimes I didn't.
I did great. I was a great child. I don't know what you're talking about. I was fantastic, truly.
But I really, really trust my children. I really trusted them.
It's so funny. I tell people all the time. I tell people all the time how much you trusted us. And because of that, I never had to lie about things. Like, I never cut school in my life, because I didn't have to.
Right.
If I woke up and I told my mother, Ma, I ain't finished my paper, I don't want to go to school. Ma, I didn't, whatever. I don't want to go to school. She would say, you going to school tomorrow, so figure it out. And it didn't happen often. It didn't even happen once a quarter, but maybe once a year I would be like, Ma, I'm not feeling it today.
Yep.
Now the people will call it, you're giving your child a mental health day. That wasn't the language back then, right? But I would get, especially in high school, I would get very overwhelmed. I would have panic attacks. My high school was amazing, but it was very academically, like the pace of academics, I was not used to that. So when I got to high school, and I went to high school in Harlem, I lived in Brooklyn. I used to get up before my mother, wake her up to tell her I was leaving. I played basketball. It was intense. It was a very intense time. We traveled, we went to other countries, but it was amazing. I would send if my high school still existed in the way that it was when I was there, I would send my kid there. It was great, but it was intense. And so there would be times where I have to tell my mom, I need a moment. You know, I didn't have the language, but she trusted me enough to say, okay, you can stay home. Now you going to school tomorrow. We're not finna make this a thing, okay? But finish the paper or whatever, you know what I mean? And I think you also trusted that we would push through. I wasn't the type of child, I'm sick for 4 and 5 days. Oh, my cramps. Yeah. I wasn't that type of kid. You know what I mean? I would go to school, go to basketball practice, then meet you at church back in Brooklyn. We was that kind of family. So, you know, when we said we needed a moment, you trusted us. So if something happened at school, especially like in middle school for me, you know, my mother would be like, she didn't say that. She didn't do that. I know my child. And same thing with my dad. High school things are happening. Like, my daughter didn't say that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I think you really did. I tell people all the time, I don't feel like I grew up like on a leash. It was very much, you know, now, if you did not do what you were supposed to do, there was consequences. But you got the opportunity. It wasn't like guilty until proven innocent. It was very much, I trust you. I believe in you. I believe you're going to do the right thing. And then if you don't, then we got to deal with that. Right. Which is something I would want to imitate. Let me tell you something else I would want to imitate. So this is what I talk to my husband about all the time. My mother was so much fun growing up. Like fun. My friends talk about this. My cousins talk about this. My house was a fun house. I don't ever remember, and I've asked my siblings and they agree, you being annoyed by us. Like, I don't have any memories of like us busting in the room and be like, get out of my room, or don't eat my so-and-so. Like, I don't have any memories. I'm not saying it never happened, but I have no memories of you like not wanting to be bothered. Like, I see women with their kids sometimes, especially single moms, which this is not judgment because I couldn't imagine. But even moms with husbands and their kids go, what do you want? Like, if they interrupt them while they're talking, it's like, go sit down. I have no memory. I'm like, my mother never treated me like that. Like, if I interrupted you, you would be like, hey, you need to say, excuse me. Yep. But it wasn't like you're getting on my nerves. I have zero memories of you ever treating us like that. I don't think I have that inside of me. That's a part that scares me, but I feel like I'm very easily annoyed. I feel like I want you to be quiet. Like, you know, kids are loud, they're noisy, they jump on, you know, and I know we were kids. We were kids in the 90s too. So we didn't have social media and we were bothering you, I'm sure. How did you manage to not make us feel like we were bothering you?
I got on a shirt that said, bless mom. I was a blessed mom. And no, not because y'all are my kids, but y'all are just good. Y'all, you know, y'all were good kids.
But we had to be annoying at some point.
And because I love being a mom, you know, and I was fun then. I don't think I'm all that much fun now. I think years of being
you can be fun when you want to be
a pre-K teacher, and years of right now, just like quiet and peace. I'm very quiet. I'm very to myself. Yeah. But I really wanted my kids to enjoy their life and to enjoy. So our house was always people there. Always people there. And it was fun. Yes. You know, and because like my mom, I did not have a lot. So I couldn't give my kids a lot of material things. So I felt that I needed to give them an environment that made them happy. I didn't really believe in letting them go trick-or-treating and all that. So I would have a big party at home, for them. I try to make everything fun and everything memorable. So I was never really frustrated with y'all in that way.
Yeah.
And my kids were very respectful. The one thing I taught them, even, Sephra and Alicia as being, I always told them you have 2 strikes against you. You're a woman and you're black. So those are 2 strikes right there. And I really try to teach them to learn how to respect themselves. Because if you respect yourself, you ain't going to allow nobody else to disrespect you. So with that, they respected me. Now, Alicia was I think Sephra was a little more scared of me than Alicia. Growing up, I was a little more
I was
scared
never afraid of you.
Of my parents than my older sister. My older sister wasn't scared of nothing. But me, I wanted to please everybody. And I think
that's Sephra. She wanted to please. I don't know scared, but she wanted to please you.
I think Sephra wanted to please me a little more than Alicia. So I was more of the Sephra, and Alicia was more of my sister Bridget. Okay, where she like, this is what I'm doing, and that's it, But they respected me, and that's the thing that made me not be frustrated with them. Now, if I had some little disrespectful, think they knew everything, children, I might have been a little more frustrated. We were very respectful. But they were even my son loved him to death, very respectful. Growing up now, he was as he got older, he was the one that was a little not so much as respectful as the girl.
Well, I had some moments too.
Everybody has their moments. But again, it was easy to reel them back in. I had a look. Like, I didn't even have to say something sometime. I just had to look like,
are you crazy?
Okay.
Have you lost
your mind, So I carried that on into my classroom. I had that look. If my babies do something, I look at them, they be like, okay, Miss Beverly is not playing. So I think that that was healthy for us. My kids respect me. They respect my mom. They respect their aunties.
Respect authority in general.
They respect adults. And they knew that was expected. So I think that's why I'm pretty sure there's times when I was more maybe frustrated with something they did in school.
I was going to say. We got in trouble.
It got in trouble.
You'd be disappointed.
Yeah.
But it still was not.
Like, just get out of here. Go somewhere. Get out of my face.
It was never that.
Yeah.
Maybe as in our teens, if we did something crazy, maybe. But again, that doesn't stand out in my memory. I'm sure it happened once or twice, but it doesn't stand out in my memory. And I think some of it, too, in terms of the fun, you talk about how you're not that fun now or this or that or whatever. I just think some people have a skill for younger children. Like I feel like I have a skill for older children. Some people just have a skill for younger children.
Yeah.
And I think everything that I do, if God gives me children when they're young, will be a pure imitation of you. It's not in me. I don't like to get on the floor and play. Like, even when I go see my friends' kids and they be like, oh, he wants to do a puzzle with you. I'm like, okay. I mean, Auntie Lish is going to do it with you, but I really would rather be sitting on the couch talking to your parents. It's not my thing. You know what I mean? Even my nephews. She's like, my nephew be like, Auntie, come in my room and play with me. I'm like, I do it because that's my nephew and I love him. But that's also different for me because one thing I say is I don't have an example of adults like playing with kids. Like you created a fun environment for us to play with each other. You wasn't down on the floor with us playing with, like, these kids want adults to play with them. I'm like, when did that start? You know what I mean? Like, when we grew up, we played with other kids. You know what I mean? Or we played by ourselves. Adults was not on the floor playing with us. So that's very difficult for me to conceptualize, but I know that that's the way things are now. So if I have children, especially if I don't have multiples, I will have to do that with them. And so I feel like, you just have a gift for young children. Even now, how you are with, with the grandkids. Like, you have a gift for teaching young children, for molding young minds. And you have a level of patience with younger children that I think is so special. I actually see it in my husband. He's so good with my nephews, with young kids, with teaching them, with helping them figure stuff out. And I'm just like, it's right there. Just get it, And, you're going to have to help me for real because I don't know. But I do feel like
I think it would just come. It comes.
But what if it doesn't? I'm scared.
But... Did you have your husband? He got it. Long as somebody have it,
Well, they'll have a grandma.
Even with my grandkids, I mean, he'll get the phone and FaceTime and we go in his room and we build together and we play together. I really enjoyed
Them
what
babies
I
love
did.
their grandma.
I love
Ooh,
young
they love their
kids.
grandma.
I'm just too old for them now. Like kids are different. Like they different.
Yeah.
So I retired from being a teacher, but I still so much love teaching. Nurturing. I love to see kids learn. You know, for a little while, well, back in New York, I owned and operated my own licensed daycare. But here, when I retired for a year, I had a daycare. And I just really enjoy what I do. I enjoy playing with them. I enjoy teaching them. I like to see kids go from one thing to another. And I think that's why I really love the young kids.
You like development.
I like to see them develop, you know. So I like when a child come in my class at 4 and can't write his name, and then a month later, a couple of weeks, he's writing his name. You know, that's development. That's growth. Yeah. And then you feel like, you know, what you're doing is not in vain. Yeah. You know, and that's rewarding, seeing the children grow and see them develop. So that's why I like the younger ones. Yeah.
So you've been known as Teacher Beverly or Miss Beverly to children who are now in their mid-20s. Some of them follow me on Instagram. I'm like, I held you as a baby in my mother's daycare. What does it feel like to have mothered, in some ways, so many children, classes and classes of children since the 90s, early 2000s? How does that feel? When you see them,
I too see some of them on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm just blown away, you know. And I'd be like, wow, you was like a baby. I mean, because when I had my own daycare in New York, I was taking them at 6 weeks old, 3 months old, you know. So some of them I had from little babies, and it feels great. You know, even I've been down here, this year will be 17 years. And just yesterday, you know, it was a little boy in my class that I loved. His name was James. And his mother posted a picture that he was 17, handsome as all outdoors. And that little boy used to love me, and I used to love him. And just to see, you know, that you had to me, just knowing that you played even a little part in helping this child grow, you know, being a part of their development, being a part of their lives, because I really believe, even me, I remember kindergarten.
Me too.
You know, and I just really believe that that's another reason why I like teaching the young, because when you could put something in them that's going to last and they're going to remember, you know, that's amazing to me, you know. So when I look back, and the thing is, a lot of the parents of the kids I had like 17 years ago, I'm friends with them on Facebook, so I get to see the pictures, I get to talk with the parents, you know. So it's just really, really rewarding to have that gift and to be part of their lives. You know, when I did my master's, and I had to, you know, have a title for my final paper, my title was It Take a Village. Because I think people think that, you know, the teachers, and some people feel like the teacher is supposed to teach, you know, supposed to be the main thing of teaching their child, but it's not. It takes the parents, the teachers, and the community. It takes a village for your kid to really be a great part of society. You know, so it really does take a village. I'm just a part of that village.
I love that.
Yeah.
You raised us to be God-fearing, to be spiritual, to read our Bibles, to know our Bibles for ourselves, right? To not let anybody, including you, used to say, even if I tell you something different, you need to go in your own Bible and find it. I remember you telling me that at a very young age. I probably was like 8. I'm like, okay.
Lish was very wise at 8. Believe me, she got it.
What advice would you give parents in this generation to encourage them when they're trying to raise their children to be spiritual, to know God, to love God? In a generation where there's so much distraction, you know, we didn't have social media. I tell people all the time, I was grown by the time I got on social media. I was 18, grown, you know, by the time I got on social media. You know, the world was very different. a lot of children don't go to church. A lot of kids, when we were growing up, whether it was a good church, bad church, whatever, kids were being raised in church. That's not a thing anymore. A lot of children don't go to church. A lot of children are finding God through friends, and not so much through their parents who go to church or a praying grandmother or whatever the case may be. And I know you didn't even grow up going to church consistently. So what would you tell a parent, who's trying to raise their children that way?
Well, I would tell them, first of all, if you say you're a Christian, be a Christian. Live that life. Let your kids see that. Because you can't, I think things have so watered down now and so, well, this is life. Let them find out for themselves and stuff like that. But you first have to have convictions about you being a Christian. You can't say, your kids can't see a double standard. They can't see you saying because our home is our first ministry. Your children are your first ministry. So if you're going to say that you're a Christian, then be one. Really let them see that. Let them see you deal with things on a spiritual level. Let them see, and even when you mess up, let them see you take ownership of that mess up.
Yes, you did a great job.
Let them see you read your Bible. Yes. Let them see you pray. Let them see that God is first in your life. First of all, that's the first thing I think that parents should do if you say you're a Christian. And then you got to encourage your kids. Let them, give them that leeway, but always encourage them that what's best. You want to hang out with Susie, hang out with Susie. But if Susie is doing what we don't do, you need to think about if you should be with Susie. You need to hang out with Susie, but you need to help Susie do what you doing. Okay? If you're doing the right thing. So I don't knock nothing and I don't regret nothing that I did with my kids when they were little. I don't regret what I've learned, how I've learned it, how I applied it. I don't regret it. We had our devotionals, we had our prayer time, and as a result of it, and I've been a Christian this year, be 34 years, and I don't regret. Some people might have some regrets. I don't, because I see the fruit of it. I have children that love God and not play love God, that really love God. And I have children that are living their lives that people can see it in their life. My son is an amazing father.
Yes, he is.
An amazing father.
And husband.
And he loves his wife, and that's because of his relationship with the Most High. He loves his family. He's a hard worker. These are things that I feel that was instilled in him. You love ministry. You love, and
sometimes I don't love me back, but I do.
But she do. Lish love ministry. And God has blessed you, to be able to, be in that role.
Yes.
Sephora loves to sing for God. She loves to use her gifts for God, and she loves to serve. So I don't have no complaints of, how my kids are. And I thank God that, I learned who he really was when y'all was a very young age. Sometimes it's harder because parents come into the truth when their kids are teens.
So it's like you're trying to change a whole way.
You're trying to, but I was blessed. You were like 3 years old. Jared was 6 months old. Sephora was like 7. So that was to me a blessing because they were young and I was able to pour into them. And the people around them were able to pour into them. They had some great people in their life, the great teens, workers that they had. I don't regret who was in my children's lives.
No, me neither.
At all. Because I feel like it really took a village. And that village really came in for me.
That's amazing. I have no regrets either. I think the thing I would change, I think you only know what you know when you know it. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said you have to let your children see you change and go through things. Because I think we've unlearned things together about our relationship with God and about everything. I think it's really important to teach your children. And you did this. I didn't realize you were doing it, but you did do this. To teach your children who God is, irrespective of a church or other people.
Yeah.
And I think that's, you got to be careful as a parent when you're raising your children in church, because you're not the only one giving the messages.
Yep.
So although my mom was very adamant about, this is about God, this is about God, this is about God, because I was around so many other people and I have always loved ministry, at some point it became about people for me. I've had to battle that, and she's helped me battle that. And so that's something I would drum into my children, because even if you're saying it, if other people are saying or teaching, or culture is just other ways, they could just see it differently. But I think it's so funny. People always talk about how, although I've been in ministry since I was very young, and although I was raised in church, they're like, you're so like normal and like down to earth. And I'm like, that's my mother. She never sheltered us from like, oh, you can only hang out with Christians, or you can only hang, like, she was like, you need to be, like you said, if you're going to hang out with Susie, you need to Susie need to be doing what you're doing, And I think as I got older, especially in my teen years, I became a Christian at 14. All my friends knew, Lish don't curse. Lish is not doing that. Lish is not going there. She's just not doing it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I was not perfect, but my convictions were my convictions.
Mm-hmm.
And it has been very telling as I age to see how differently I was raised than other people. Because when you're a kid, you think, oh, everybody's parents does this. And everybody da-da-da. And it's like, oh, no, not everybody. And so I'm very grateful for that. As we wind down, I'm going to take a selfish moment and ask you, what's your favorite thing about being my mom? I know I have other siblings and I love them, and they could invite you on their own podcast when they get one. But since this is my podcast, you talked about what you love about being a mom, but what do you love about being my mom?
I love your husband. No.
That's crazy.
No.
Wow.
I love my daughter-in-law too. My daughter-in-law,
wow.
My son-in-law is like my children. I love them better than them. No. But
So y'all see what I have to deal with?
being your mom.
My therapist.
What I love about being your mom, I love the intimate times with you. I always loved, you was always independent. I mean, when we got into church, Lish was 3 years old, and she was walking around the church asking for numbers, but not numbers of her peers. She was going to the evangelists and the women ministry leaders, and she was like, could I get your number, So I always liked the independent and the wisdom. You are one wise woman. I love sitting down with you and just listening to you. She have helped me more than she even know. I might not even let her know some of the things she said was like, I walked away like, wow, okay. Very, very wise. You have wisdom way beyond your years. So that's the thing that I admire about you. And you always had it, even from young. You're just very wise. I always say, you have wisdom, street wisdom, street knowledge. You just was everything. Sephora is just educated. Like she academically is so smart. Like she was amazingly smart. Still is. But Lisha was street smart, academic smart. She just was, all around wise, and still is a very, very wise woman. So that's what I love about being your mom, that I could come to you, or not even come to you, just be talking to you and walk away like, wow, I've learned something, so I love that about you.
Thank you. And my husband.
And I love my husband.
We like to ask a question here to end off our show. And the question is, in the grand scheme of things, what do you want your legacy to be?
Well, being that this is about being a mom, I just want my legacy to be that I was a great mom. That I was a mom to be imitated. I was a mom that was there for my children. I want them to be able to know that their mom really, truly loved them. Yeah. So my legacy is to just really know that I was a great mom.
Yeah. Well, you did that already. So your legacy is intact. You are indeed a great mom. A mom worthy of praise, a mom worthy of imitation. one of the things that me and my sister definitely talk about a lot is we appreciate that we can talk to you, you know, whether it's something a hard conversation or just shooting the breeze.
Right.
You know, there's some people who just feel like they can't talk to their mom because it's going to be a big blow up if I tell you how I feel, or you're not going to understand me. And again, every conversation is not perfect,
right?
But we always come back to center and say, okay, I'm sorry, or,
right,
you know, I messed up, or how can I do this better, or whatever. And I just appreciate that even as a mother of adults, which is, I know it's a little bit of a struggle for you, you really do prioritize being a resource for us. You want us to know that we can come to you. You want us to know that you love us, that you care, that you're proud. I've never had to ask either of my parents, but specifically you, Mom, you know, are you proud of me?
Right.
You know, do you love me? Like, I've never questioned that ever in my life. And that is a gift. I understand that that is a gift. What I love about opportunities like this one is that in 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, you know, your grandchildren's children will be able to watch this interview.
Amen. I love that.
And hear your thoughts and your feelings.
I love that.
And what we wouldn't give, right? To have grandma on a video, or your grandmother, you know.
Right. I love that.
It is really legacy building. And it really will they'll be able to take the advice that you gave in this episode and apply it to how they mother.
Yeah.
And so I want you to know that your gifts, your words, your experiences are so special. And every good thing that you think about me comes from the way that you raised me.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I really love and appreciate you. And happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. That has been another episode of I'll Just Let Myself In with your girl, Lish Speaks. Thanks so much for listening. And if you're here with us on Holy Culture Radio, channel 140 on Sirius XM, thanks for checking us out. If you're on YouTube checking us out, or any of your podcasting apps, we appreciate the listen. Please share, like, give us a comment. Go ahead and give us a review. Tell us what you're loving about the podcast. And if you want to connect with us, email us at speakers@lishspeaks.com. That's SPEAKRS @lishspeaks.com. We'd love to hear from you. We'll be back with another episode, same time, same place next week. Can't wait to see you there. Peace.
I'm going to have a great day.